Hey guys, I've been wanting to make a video on this subject for a while now. Um, or you know what, I shouldn't say that. It's something I should have made a long time ago because I honestly must get this question, at least a couple times a week. And people just can't seem to fathom how to really get the Tom DeLonge tone. And, there's a lot of things that go into it. And you could definitely spend a lot of money doing it, but I'll do my best to try and keep it at a lower cost, because not everybody has the amount of money to just run out and buy a Mesa Boogie amplifier or something like that. So basically what I'm going to start off with is the guitar, then I'll move to amps and whatever else. I'm going to start off by saying this is not my guitar. This is my friend's guitar, and I had it just lying around, so I figured this is the closest to a Tom DeLonge sounding guitar that I'd have. I do have like my Tom DeLonge style stuff, but I mean, this is the Seymour Duncan Invader, and this is the pickup that in the early days Tom always used. Maybe not really early stuff, like the early like Cheshire Cat type stuff. He was using a DiMarzio X2N, and then he moved into like Dude Ranch, where I'm pretty sure he was just using stock pickups on like Les Pauls and stuff. But when he got his signature model, he was using his signature Fender model. He was using a Seymour Duncan Invader. And while that is a good pickup for Tom's sound, possibly the best pickup for Tom's sound, it's not going to work in every guitar. So I'm going to start off by saying you can use a Strat if you want to use a Strat, but it's not necessarily going to make it sound any more like Tom than a Les Paul would, or a 335 would, or any other guitar. So the best thing that you're going to want to do guitar wise is just find something that's comfortable to you. I play mostly Strats just because they're really comfortable to me. There's some other style guitars that I like playing too that are also very comfortable, but there's ways of making it sound, like a Tom DeLonge style guitar. But it basically what it comes down to is the way that the wood altogether pretty much works with the pickup. So most Strats, you have alder. You'll find sometimes there's swamp ash. Every now and then you might find something else. But for the most part, they are alder, which is a relatively brighter type of wood. It's kind of in the middle, but it's a little more bright than it is like a darker tone woods than, say, like mahogany, or some others that you might find in like a Les Paul or another guitar. So this pickup overall is a very bassy pickup. It has a lot of bass, it has a lot of mid-range, and not a lot of treble to it. So it works really well with these types of woods. Since this is it's a relatively bright setup, especially with this all maple neck. If this was a maple neck with a rosewood fretboard, rosewood's a naturally warmer sound to it. It doesn't have as much bite to it, and so if this was a rosewood fretboard, the whole sound would be just a little bit smoother, and it would be a little bit warmer. Some people might not notice that, but that's the way it is. So yeah, this sort of setup, I could put, say, like the Gibson Dirty Fingers pickup, which is another one that Tom uses, in here, but you'd notice that it won't sound as full as something like this because it has those extra bass frequencies to it, which the Dirty Fingers doesn't have, because a Dirty Fingers pickup is more suited for like a Les Paul or 335, something that has a darker tone to it naturally, because it when they work together, it just forms a really good team, and it's pretty much about finding a neutral point. So with this not overly bright, but like relatively bright guitar with this relatively dark sounding pickup and bassy kind of pickup, it works together. So when you have like a Les Paul or another type of darker style guitar, you put that Dirty Fingers in it, which is a little bit brighter, and it's the same thing. It's kind of opposite though. So it's all about finding something that's that works well with whatever guitar feels good for you. So if you like playing SGs, you can absolutely play an SG and sound like Tom DeLonge. It's all about just finding the right pickup. So the Seymour Duncan Invader, I think, is better off in Strat style guitars, stuff that's, you know, naturally kind of bright. If you want to use like a Les Paul or, you know, any number of other guitars, you know, something that you will have more wood, or something that just has like a darker tone wood like mahogany or whatever, go with something like a Dirty Fingers. If you want, go to my video where I'm playing Take Off Your Pants and Jacket from start to finish. I did that all with my Les Paul Custom that I had last year, and I had a Gibson 30 Fingers in that, and it was the perfect tom tone that I've ever had. And it just was something that just worked really well together. But this is a really good tom tone too, so let me show you this. So, as you can see, it definitely works. There are definitely some other things that you can do to make the situation a little bit better. Tom, as far as I know, has been using skinny top, heavy bottom, Ernie ball strings for as long as I can remember. If you don't know what that is, basically it's the style of the string, but it's also the name of the gauge. So basically what that means is these three strings, the lighter strings, are still relatively light, but compared to those ones, these three have been gotten a little beefier. So this is a 10, 13, 17, 30, 42, and a 52. Now you don't have to use Ernie ball if you don't want to. D'Addario makes the same gauge strings. I've actually been using D'Addario a lot recently. But Ernie ball works fine. I've used those for a very long time as well. And just having those thicker strings on those first three strings really gets you a thicker, chunkier sound overall. If you're playing really light strings and you're trying to play like heavy power chords, it's just not going to sound that good. So thicker strings definitely helps. What else can I say? I'm playing through my Mesa Boogie. This is a dual rectifier Roadster. You can definitely go out and spend, you know, over $1,000 on a Mesa Boogie amp if you want to. You know, I would definitely recommend doing that, but it's not the only option that you're gonna have. And a lot of people these days actually kind of only go by how Tom is doing his sound now to try and get like his Enema the State tone, or his, you know, something older. And he's doing everything with Fender amps and Vox amps now, and I don't really like the tone that he has now, especially live. I mean, in the studio it's fine for the most part, but his older tone was pretty much pure Mesa Boogie. I mean, I know he did some stuff with Marshall JCMs, and he kind of blended the two together. I'm pretty sure what he did was he kind of cranked a Mesa with like a really dirty channel, and then he had a Marshall with like a really clean, sparkly channel, and then he just blended them together and just kind of made like this Tom DeLonge tone that just worked. But you can get the main gist with just your with just a Mesa. That being said, if you have a Fender amp or a Vox amp or whatever amp you like playing, I highly suggest getting a Mesa Boogie pedal. They have a few different pedals. They have, I think one's called like the Tone Burst. They have one called the Grid Slammer, which is definitely one of the more ones you'd want to check out. They have the Throttle Box, which is another one worth checking out. Those two are like the more heavier ones, and a couple of them are overdrive pedals, but you want to get the distortion pedal one. I'm pretty sure it's the Grid Slammer, but I could be wrong. Or no, it's either the Grid Slammer or the Throttle Box. I don't remember exactly. But that pretty much has Mesa Boogie's character just in a box. I mean, if you want to play like a Fender amp and use like a Boss OD1, like just a normal overdrive pedal or something, or you know, a Boss distortion or something, I mean, you'll get a good rock tone out of it, but it's not going to sound like Tom. It's just not going to. Even if you had, you know, an Invader pickup and, you know, a Strat or whatever, you know, it's gonna change your overall tone a lot. So that's basically it. So find a guitar that's comfortable to you. Figure out what kind of pickup is really gonna suit it best. If it's gonna be a brighter sort of pickup or if it's gonna be a darker sort of pickup. If you're not sure which one that would really suit your guitar better, feel free to ask me. So, lighter guitar, Invader. Darker sort of guitar, definitely check out the Dirty Fingers. If you want to go even better, I mean, I love bare knuckle pickups. I'm sure most of you know that by now. And a lot of people compare the Invader to the bare knuckle warpig pickup, which is just a lot more clarity though. So it's basically this sort of pickup just without, you know, a little bit of that muddiness. But I mean, Tom DeLonge is kind of known for a little bit of mud in his tones. So I mean, some people might be into that. And then if you want a Mesa Boogie amp, you know, it definitely helps. The cab, you know, it plays a part, but it's not as huge of a part. I mean, it's more about the head for sure. But if you want to really worry about the cab, I mean, something with vintage 30s, or I think Tom used greenbacks a lot, but I'm not 100% sure on that. That's just another type of speaker by Celestion. Like I said, definitely check out these this gauge strings, the skinny top, heavy bottom. Definitely worth checking out. And if you don't want to upgrade your amp, or you don't have the money to upgrade the amp, definitely check out the Mesa Boogie pedals, like the Throttle Box or the Grid Slammer. And you should definitely be getting a lot closer to his tone. I mean, picks don't really matter. Use whatever pick you want. I know Tom uses the .60 Dunlop Tortex. Unless he changed over the past couple years, I'm not really sure. Other than that, you know, there's not really too much else to it, other than really kind of figuring out how he plays, and just like really understanding his style. I mean, that's a lot of where his tone comes from too. I mean, it's something that, you know, it can be hard to imitate. You know, I feel like I can imitate it pretty well with some of their stuff. I mean, I'll try and do something like right now. So, obviously you could play that riff and play it like kind of your own style and it won't sound as close to Tom, you know. I mean, I'm kind of rambling now, but if you give, say you have Tom DeLonge's rig and you give like Eddie Van Halen his rig, and like you have Eddie Van Halen play through Tom's rig, he's not going to sound like Tom DeLonge. He's going to sound like Eddie Van Halen. I mean, it's just the way that is. I mean, a lot of your tone comes from your fingers, but at least with what I showed you, it should definitely help. So, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I mean, I'll do my best to help. I do have another video on my page from a while back showing you kind of how to get Tom's like Angels and Airwaves sort of delay tones and stuff like that, if you're curious about that sort of Tom related guitar work. So, and if there's any other sort of like Tom's tone or anyone else's sort of tone, I mean, if you have any questions on someone else's, or if you want me to make a video on someone else's, I can, you know, I can see what I can do. So hopefully this helped. That's really all I gotta say. So I'll see you guys later.